Addiction, a topic as dramatic as that intro. Gaming addiction, to be more precise, is a topic that has become mainstream for a few years now. We all see in the news about extreme cases of gaming and their dramatic consequences. To me, gaming addiction was always something obvious, right? When you see this news, it's obvious these people are addicted, but the fact is, most experts do not agree that gaming addiction is actually a thing. Recently, the World Health Organization listed gaming disorder as an officially recognized medical condition, which, to be honest, I thought would clarify this once and for all, but not really. And it's not just the medical experts that don't agree with this, but the gaming industry as a whole was lobbying to not have gaming disorder classified as a mental disorder. That kind of triggered a suspicious conspiracy theorist in me. Because gaming addiction seems such an obvious thing. Why aren't we all agreeing on this? So how can I answer this question? Am I addicted? Is it because I have 25,000 hours plus playing a game or dedicating myself to an activity? Does that mean I'm addicted? Well, come and join me and we'll try to find out together in this video. But first things first, how did I get to the number in the intro? Well, I use a gaming platform called Steam, and this records my game time. I grabbed all those times recorded since 2009, which was when I started using this platform, and put them all in this awesome spreadsheet. Using average per year of the recorded times, I then applied it to all the other times where I played the game but didn't have Steam or any other ways to record it. By combining the total recorded and the estimated times together, I got to the total number of 25,560 hours. And that's just for one single game. As you can imagine, that wasn't the only game I played throughout my life. Also, it's important to understand that this is actually a very conservative estimate. Because as a teenager I played much more than what I play now because adult life, funding money, responsibilities and all of that. And it makes time evaporate very quickly. So that's definitely not an inaccurate estimate. Now a little bit about myself. I'm 39 years old, living in the UK. I was born and raised in Portugal, more exactly in Lisbon. And as soon as I got my hands on the first computer, I was probably around 13 years old, I got very much interested in gaming. And when this game appeared in front of me, Football Manager, at the time was called Championship Manager, it just got me hooked completely. And it wasn't the only game. As you can imagine, a 13-year-old being exposed to computers and games in the early 90s. This was like amazing. This was overwhelming for the senses. But was I addicted? Or am I still addicted? I think first let's get our definitions right. Let's check the internet. No, I'm not going to show you Wikipedia, although it's a very valuable source of information, but let's find more reliable sources, just to check what addiction actually means. There are a lot of definitions for addiction, but my favorite one is the one I found on the NHS website. For those of you that are not in the UK, NHS is the public healthcare system around this part of the world. And the definition is not having control over doing, taking or using something to the point where it could be harmful to you. And it says below, on the next paragraph, that it's possible to be addicted just about anything. And to me that means even gaming. So after reading a lot about several perspectives on the definition of addiction, and I just want to highlight this is a generic definition of addiction, not just specifically for gaming, there is one thing that I think one sentence that I think summarizes all of those, which is losing control to the point where it's harmful to you. And I would even add to those around you too. As a gamer and as someone who isn't a doctor or a scientist, this resonates the most to me. Because time spending doing an activity or use a substance by itself is not an addiction. It only becomes an addiction if it causes harm to you or others around you, and if you can't stop doing it. So how do I know if it's causing me harm? How do I know that I'm in control? What I want is to find some kind of guidance regarding if I might or might not have an addiction. The fact that I'm asking the question, I think it's a sign that I might have, or at least I spend more time playing games than what my subconscious thinks it's reasonable. So I then went to Google and I searched for signs of video game addiction, etc. And I found this one, the Game Quitters website, which is an online community dedicated to discuss the topic and help others either identify that they are addicted or to come out from it. So it's a pretty cool site, but all the sites I find, a lot of information I find on the internet, I think it's although valid and useful, which I encourage you to look if you haven't yet, it's still too vague and subjective. So let's take a look, for example, at this quiz, right? So, are you concerned about gaming? Yes, I am. And let's see if I meet the criteria for problematic use addiction. Let's start the quiz. Welcome to Video Game Addiction Quiz for gamers. Please note this informal screening tool. For a proper assessment, please seek support of a professional. And this reminds me to do a disclaimer. I am not a medical professional, okay? I'm just a guy that plays a lot of Football Manager, trying to figure out if he's addicted or not. That's it. I understand. I hope you do as well. So, question number 1. Do you spend a lot of time thinking about games? Even when you're not playing or planning when you can play next? Gaming becomes the dominant activity in your daily life? Reading just the question itself, I would say yes, because it's my favorite hobby. So I want to play a lot. So I'm thinking about, I'm going to do this in the game, or I'm going to play that game, or whatever. Does it become the dominant activity in daily life? It depends what you mean by dominant. In terms of time, no, because I work for a living and I spend much more time working. But outside of work, it is the dominant activity. It's not the most important activity I do, because I'm a father and I like to think of me as a responsible father, so I spend as much time as possible with my kid and also with my partner. And yeah, I hesitate calling this dominant, but in order for me to answer this question directly, I have to say yes, because I do spend a lot of time thinking about games, so yes. Do you feel restless, irritable, moody, angry, anxious, bored, or sad when you try to cut down or stop gaming, or when you are unable to play? Bored, yes. Sad a little bit sometimes if I'm at a stage of the game that's very interesting and for some reason I can't play it. I'm a bit sad. I wouldn't say restless, irritable, etc. But I do become bored and a bit sad. Maybe sad is also a strong word. Because the question is or, if you feel this or that, I have to say yes, because I do feel bored a lot. I get bored easily, and gaming is the best medicine for me to get rid of my boredom. I'm not sure, but I'm going to say yes. Do you feel the need to play for increasing amount of times, play more exciting games, or use more powerful equipment to get the same amount of excitement you used to get? Not the same. I do all of these, but the purpose not to get the same amount of excitement is to get more excitement, more and better games, better graphics, better experience. So I'll have to say no to this one. Have you felt you should play less, but are unable to cut back on the amount of time you spend playing games? If I have felt I should play less, the answer is yes. But am I unable to cut back? No, I was able to cut back. Yeah, sometimes. specifically with Football Manager, if I'm in a losing streak, if I'm losing like 5 games in a row, it's difficult for me to stop playing until I start winning. You know, it's difficult, but I eventually do it. That just means that instead of going to bed, let's say at midnight, I go to bed at 3 a.m. It's normally the difference, but honestly, I don't think so. I think I am able to cut back. It's not stop completely, just cutting back. And yes, I felt you should play less, but I'm unable. No, I'm able. Have you lost interest or reduced participation in other recreational activities due to gaming? Yes, because I'm not sure if because I'm addicted, but it's because time is limited, right? So if I'm playing one activity or doing one activity that I like, obviously the other activities that I also like will be affected, because I can only do one thing at a time, right? So I have to say yes, although I don't really think this would be a good sign for addiction, but yeah, let's say yes. Let's just follow the quiz and then we see the results. Have you continued to play a game even though you knew about the negative consequences, such as not getting enough sleep, being late to work, spending too much money, having arguments with others, or neglecting important duties? I have to say yes. Again, because it's an or question, I tick some of these boxes. Not getting enough sleep, that's a given, that's for sure. Normally at night is when I play, because everything is quiet, baby is sleeping, I don't have work to do. So yeah, it does affect my sleep occasionally, because if the game is like in an interesting period, I'm very engaged, I just don't pause the game and go to sleep. I just carry on playing. Being late to work or school, it has happened, yep. Spending too much money, rarely, but yeah, when Steam comes out with those promotions, like my wallet starts screaming in agony. Having arguments, that no. Neglecting important duties, I'm assuming other duties that are not the ones already described here. Not that I can think of. Overall, I have to say yes, because I tick some of these boxes and it's an or question, so I have to say yes. But again, I'm not sure this really tells me I'm addicted, but okay, let's continue. Just 3 more questions, okay? Have you been deceptive or lied to family, friends, or others about how much you game? Or tried to keep your family or friends from knowing how much you game? Yes, mostly because if I tell them, they will not understand. It's mostly to avoid awkward situations rather than to protect my addiction, but I have to say yes. Do you game to escape from or forget about personal problems, or to relieve uncomfortable feelings such as guilt, anxiety, helplessness, or depression? Yes. Yes. Not exactly these, but sometimes I come home from work, I'm stressed, and it's so good to escape from reality and just go into the virtual world of gaming. It's just an amazing feeling, so I have to say yes. Finally, have you risked or lost significant relationship, job, educational or career opportunities because of gaming? No. Risk, maybe sometimes I risk my job. Not now, in the past. Oh, maybe now a bit, because I still play a lot of football, but I don't think so. Not risking or losing. Losing, definitely not. Risking, it's a bit subjective, but no, I have to say no to this one. What's my email address? Okay. Let's put the email address. Submit answers. You met 6 out of 9 criteria for video game addiction. Oh no. Any score over 5 is concerning and should be addressed immediately. Okay, let's learn more. Video game addiction, okay. Yeah, obviously you need to seek the help of a professional. I hope this is obvious for everybody watching this. This is just a self-assessment, and I think it's a very important tool, by the way, because there's a lot of stigma associated with addiction, and also with more specifically with video game addiction. And it's good that people try to understand where they are and what's their relationship with whichever activity they think they might have an addiction with, in this case gaming. And that's why I think this is useful for me, but I think for everybody else really. And I don't know. Okay, what is video game addiction? Impaired control over gaming, increased priority giving to gaming, continuation or escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. And this is the thing. I mean, negative consequences occur, but they rarely happen, I think. And this is important. I was looking for this. The gaming behavior and other features are normally evident over a period of at least 12 months in order for a diagnosis to be assigned, although the required duration may be shortened if all diagnostic requirements are met and symptoms are severe. And that's the other variable in this equation, which is not having control, being harmful, and being reflected on a long period of time. Okay, so the assessment is saying that I'm probably addicted, although I disagree with that. And the reason why I disagree with it is simple. If we go back to the definition of addiction that we found previously, it says losing control to the point where it's harmful to you. And I would even add, it's harmful during a long period of time. But time is not the quantity of time alone, it's quantity of time while it's doing harm to you. If you play a lot but that time doesn't harm you, then it doesn't count. Let me create a scenario here just to illustrate my point. If a person plays 1 hour a day, are you considered addicted? Probably not. And this is based on common sense, not in medical terms, okay? If someone tells you, I play normally 1 hour a day, probably you wouldn't think, oh, this person has a problem. But if this same person says, oh, I play 10 hours a day, most people will say, and me included, instinctively will say, oh, there must be something wrong with this person, right? Well, that's something that's kind of embedded in our brains, that we associate time gaming with a bad thing. But I would ask a different question, which is, that time I spend playing games, could it be used for something else that's better for me? Or in other words, would this time I spend gaming causing harm to me, preventing me from achieving my goals? Is there any negative effect of me spending X amount of time, regardless if it's 1 hour a day or 10 hours a day, playing games? To me, the answer starts with looking at the Maslow's pyramid. If you haven't heard about the Maslow's pyramid, in a very summarized way, the Maslow's pyramid is a hierarchy of needs. And the most important or fundamental needs are at the bottom, at the base, and then as you evolve or as you meet those needs, you will then move to the higher levels of the pyramid until you reach the top, hopefully. But that's where your motivation lies, is you want to fulfill your immediate basic needs and then move up that pyramid to the top. And why is this important to answer the question if I'm addicted? It is important because having clearly defined needs will help me assess if I'm addicted or not. In other words, if gaming is preventing me from climbing that pyramid, if gaming is preventing me from achieving my goals, if gaming is preventing me from focusing on what I really want, then yes, gaming is harmful to me. And according to the definition of addiction, if I cannot stop this harm, then I am addicted. So the first step, and that's what the pyramid helps me with, is understanding if it's causing harm to me. If the answer is yes, then I need to understand if I can control it, meaning can I stop it from causing harm, and can I keep climbing that pyramid? And the third thing I will then need to ask is this time I'm spending gaming harming or affecting me negatively in any way? So now I'm in a position to answer this question, because now I have my own personalized pyramid of needs, and I believe that everyone should have their own. Maslow's pyramid for me is just a template. I don't think it should be followed literally. So taking inspiration, using the concept of Maslow's pyramid to define your needs, your hierarchies, which things are more important to you, which things are less important, but that you still want to achieve them, you can then understand where your time is being used. And if you understand that the time that you are using for gaming is affecting that pyramid, is preventing you from achieving safety or love or self-esteem or self-actualization, which, by the way, is what I think it's the meaning of life. Yes, dear viewer, I'm claiming that I know the meaning of life, which in very simple terms means get that pyramid right. You won't get it right the first time. You will need to keep working on it probably throughout your life. That's at least my experience. And it's climbing that pyramid. That's the meaning of life. It's not reaching to the top, it's climbing it. At least that's how I found the meaning for my life. But that's maybe a topic for another video. What this means specifically for addiction is that I found my answer. I looked at the time I spent gaming, and I look at my pyramid. It's like, is that preventing me from achieving my goals, meaning climbing that pyramid? And the answer is no. I'm able to climb that pyramid. I'm still far from the top. I don't even know if I'm ever going to get there, but that gives meaning, gives a purpose to my life, to get to the top of that pyramid. And because gaming is not affecting with that, I am not addicted. I hope this makes sense. Sometimes I ramble a bit about these topics because there's so much things to talk about. But the important takeaway is that time alone, the time you spend gaming, is not the only criteria. And the ones that I found, at least online, are a bit subjective. And I think the key to figuring out if I was addicted or not is to figure out what is important to me. And the tool I used was the Maslow's pyramid. There might be others, I don't know, but figuring out my priorities, figuring out how I spend my time, and if the time I spent gaming would interfere with those priorities, that for me was key to understand if I was addicted or not. Not all those quizzes online and and all those medical terms. So I really hope this has been useful to you as well. And before I go, I want to say that for the vast majority of us, gaming is a good thing. Not only it has been scientifically proven its benefits, but also those small moments of escapism that games provide enables the mind to use this virtual world as a resting place. And it's awesome, because too much of anything is normally a bad thing. Even reality can be a bit too much at times, and gaming can help with that. And I want to wrap up this video by repeating that this is my personal view only, okay? I'm not a doctor or anything like that. I'm just a guy trying to figure out life and making YouTube videos. That's it. And once again, I hope this has been useful to you. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think I'm in denial? Or do you think I'm making some kind of sense? Or how do you keep addiction at bay? Or how do you handle it? Have you been addicted in the past? Are you addicted now? Please let me know your thoughts. I would really like to know. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, climb that pyramid.